Hello everyone, Kaoz here, and welcome to another old school RuneScape video. I know what you're thinking. Kaoz, a Vorkath guide in 2025? And let me answer your question with another question. How come whenever I stream Vorkath, sometimes I get to 2 or 3 times my regular stream viewership? And why are so many relatively recent Vorkath guides popping off in the algorithm? Well, to that I say, let's update one of my most ancient guides on the channel, thanks to so many new updates and items in the game. Boys and girls, if you subscribe and leave a like on the video, your next Vorkath trip will give you a unique guaranteed by the RNG gods. Don't forget to join our Discord server with the link in the description to play with me and our amazing community. In this guide, I will teach you a few new things I have learned since our last video, and I will go over some of the most frequently asked questions I get on stream, more specifically regarding gear progression and updates. I will also show you a live KC example with budget, ranged, and melee gear, and to show you average profit in 2025, since some of Vorkath's regular drops have increased thanks to more late game bots being busted by Jagex. That being said, let's begin. Requirements for Vorkath are really humble, needing completion of Dragon Slayer 2 to go back to Ugniel to fight a stronger version of Vorkath. Technically not needed, but will make your life 100 times easier. You obtain a Salve Amulet EI after completion of the Haunted Mine, Lair of Tarned Resolver, and imbuing it at either the Nightmare Zone, Soul Wars, or the PvP arena. I also recommend completion of Lunar Diplomacy for a quicker route to Relica, but we have other means to get there. Other than gear, people often ask me what levels they need for Vorkath. The bare minimum I recommend to either give it a try or slowly getting your Vorkath's head is 70s in melee, 61 ranged, 75 magic since you need this level for Dragon Slayer 2, anything above 70 HP, and the 62 prayer for something new since our last guide. For melee, bump that up to 70 prayer to use piety. Of course, needing completion of the King's Ransom quest. If you want to farm Vorkath a little more efficiently with either melee or ranged, bump those respective skills up to at least 80 and get level 74 prayer for rigor, which I will also cover during the gear progression. To make one of the mechanics easier, get level 55 Slayer, although I'm sure that you should have it after completion of a Grandmaster quest. Let's go over individual gear upgrades because we have quite a bit to cover. We will start with Base Void, an Accumulator, Salve Amulet EI, Ruby and the Diamond Bolts Enchanted, Rune Crossbow, Anti-Dragon Shield, Shazian Boots 5 or Blessed Dragonhide Boots, and a Brimstone Ring. If your ranged level is slightly higher or you're just about to get it, a Dragon Crossbow at level 64 is the way to go. I also heavily recommend you get the Deadeye Prayer Scroll from the Royal Titans, and it won't be long before we upgrade this further. Up next, I would personally get Elite Void top and bottom. If you're on the Void grind, I would honestly stay here until you have the extra 400 points, and the upgrade after completion of the Hard Western Diary for the best in slot ranged armor. With this gear, you should be set for at least 50 kills, or hope to be spooned a Vorkath's head before the guaranteed drop. Take the head and your Ava's Accumulator to Ava so she can upgrade it into an Ava's Assembler, the second best ranged cape in the game. This is not mandatory, but if you want to start using your special attack bar, a Bandos Godsword with a Void melee helmet switch to start the kill would be a good move. Don't forget you need to pray magic and to drink Super Anti-Fire Potion to avoid massive damage because you're not wearing the Anti-Dragon Shield. If you start using a Bandos Godsword, pair that up with a Lightbearer for faster special regeneration. Our first major investment is going to be the Dragon Hunter Crossbow. It's only 48 million GP as of the time of making this video, and it's pretty much at an all-time low since the release of Vorkath. It may sound like a pricey upgrade, but this will make a massive difference in your kill times. The second major upgrade is going to be unlocking Rigor after reading a Dexterous Prayer Scroll. If you're an Iron, this will be slightly less complicated to obtain than the Dragon Hunter Crossbow, but as a main, a permanent upgrade for a little over 30 million GP is the deal of a lifetime. We don't really have a lot more to upgrade, but I would buy a Dragonfire Word next, which gives a ranged strength bonus in the shield slot, and this gives us a few extra max hits. You have to charge it with Dragonfire for its full potential, so take it to a few dragons for them to charge it. From here on out, the last 3 gear upgrades are not life or death, but if bringing a special attack weapon, look to upgrade your ring slot into a Ring of Suffering, and with a little bit more cash, a Venator Bow will do the trick. The second to last upgrade is a Dishonest Quiver. This requires completion of the Fortis Colosseum, which is in another realm of difficulty compared to Vorkath, and if you're good enough to have a quiver, I doubt you need a Vorkath guide in 2025. but it doesn't hurt to add. The final upgrade that isn't a special attack weapon is a pair of Avernic Treads, and you can amplify their power by feeding them a pair of Bagation Boots for extra range to strength in the feat slot, which is the first time a boot item gives us this stat. For the turbo gamers, we close out to the Vorkath ranged gear progression with a Zerite crossbow for specials, or you could even try the Tunnel Sticks of Rallos. The crossbow will give you burst damage with a Ruby Bolt procs, and the Rallos will soften Vorkath for slightly quicker kills. Your inventory should include ranging, Bastion Potions, or their Divine variant, something to cure Venom like an Anti-Poison, Antidote, Anti-Venom, or Extended Anti-Venom, Prayer or Super Restore Potions, a Slayer Staff, if you bring melee switches take the Void Melee Helmet and the BGS, a Rune Pouch with at least the Law, Kaoz and the Dust Runes, and then fill the rest of your inventory with the best food you can. If you have the Divine Rune Pouch, you can also bring Nature and Fire Runes to alch Rune and Dragon drops you get during your kills. You can also bring a Blowpipe for something I will show you, but not heavily recommended. The minimum melee setup will look a lot more rudimentary, and we take a Nessie Helm, Fire Cape, Salve Amulet E or EI, Rada's Blessing, Zami Hasta, Fighter Torso, Anti-Dragon Shield, Obsidian Legs, Beru's Gloves, Dragon Boots, and a Brimstone Ring. I would first get either a Dragon Defender or a Dragon Fire Shield for strength bonus in the shield slot. If wearing a Defender, which is better overall, remember to drink Super Anti-Fire to avoid a ton of damage from Vorkath's Fire Breath. Another cheap upgrade is a Berserker Ring Imbued. This will be helpful for all stages of the game until the overpowered Ultor Ring, so you can't go wrong with buying or farming a Berserker Ring and imbuing it at one of the 3 different options. 2 items that will help us massively, especially with a lower gear, is either a Bandos Godsword for defense reduction or Burning Claws on Stab for burst damage whenever you have energy. Don't forget your Super Anti-Fire to avoid being burned to a crisp by Vorkath, since both don't allow you to wear a shield. The next 2 upgrades are very similar in terms of DPS, and we will go for the cheaper one, being a full set of Blood Moon. This is not as expensive as it once was, probably because of Moon's bots, so take advantage of this while we can. If you have a spare 4 million GP, get yourself a Serpentine Helmet and charge it with Zulrah Scales. It has very good stats for the head slot, and will avoid the need to bring Anti-Venom for an extra slot for food or Prayer Restoration Potion. A pair of Ferocious Gloves only goes for 13 million GP at the time of making this video, and this locks a best in slot item for us. Their strength bonus is ridiculous, and there's nothing better as of September of 2025. If you are 80 to attack, I heavily recommend your first weapon to be an Osmund's Fang, since it's only marginally worse than a Dragon Hunter lance at a third of the cost. Ideally, you could skip on Blood Moon, Serpentine Helmet, and Ferocious Gloves to be able to afford it since damage is more important, but I just ordered the first few upgrades from cheap to expensive. If you want to skip on the Fang and have the money, I honestly wouldn't get any other upgrade before grabbing yourself the Dragon Hunter lance. This will be the best weapon to slay the undead dragon with melee, and deal more DPS than before. The next 2 upgrades also offer a very tiny boost in DPS, but the Avernic Defender comes out on top. It costs 45 million GP, so it can be quite pricey for what it does, which is also the case for the Primordial Boots, offering slightly better stats than the Dragon ones. I recommend getting these now because the next ones offer a negligible increase in DPS, or are extremely more expensive than what we have seen so far. Before some armor suggestions, I would look into getting a Voidwaker since it's dirt cheap nowadays because of the Wilderness bots. This will guarantee damage at Vorkath, and before an Ultor Ring, pair that up with a Lightbearer for more specials. Oddly enough, checking the DPS calculator for Bandos and a Nessie Phase Guard versus full Oathblade literally throws the same numbers. These are not life or death, but if you want a side grade, they offer better defensive stats than Blood Moon, and when wearing a slash weapon, Oathblade will be more useful for a long time. This is the point where I would recommend getting an Infernal Cape because our next upgrade, the Ultor Ring, is very expensive, and that money could go towards a Bofa and Crystal Armor, or even a Twisted Bow to take on Tis-Galzuk. If the Inferno is not in your to-do list at this point, save up for the best in slot ring in the game. Our final upgrades are Torva Full Helm, Avernic Treads, and in any order you want, the remaining 2 pieces of Torva. The treads can be worn on their own, but they will be further amplified by feeding them a pair of Primordial Boots. With this, the melee gear progression for Vorkath is complete. Your inventory should include Super Attack, Super Strength, Super Combat Potions or their Divine variants, Anti-Poison, Antidote, Anti-Venom or Extended Anti-Venom, Prayer Restoration Potions, a Slayer Staff, a special attack weapon of your choice, a Rune Pouch with at least the Law, Chaos and Dust Runes, and fill the rest of the inventory with your best food. You can also bring nature and fire runes like we said during the ranged inventory setup. The last thing to mention about this combat style though, is that if you're on a Slayer task, the Slayer helmet effect does not stack with the Salve amulet. One thing that changed since our last guide is that if you have a Blue Dragon task, you can now wear a Slayer helmet imbued and an Amulet of Rancor for the highest damage possible at Vorkath. But without the Rancor, the Salve amulet continues to be the king. Okay, too much yapping about numbers. The best ways to get to Vorkath haven't really changed. From best to worst, bring your Fremennik Boots 4 to be teleported in the middle of Relica. The Enchanted Lyre will take you to the entrance of the town, or you can move your house to Relica to teleport just outside. You can also set up a Lunar Isle teleport in your POH, and use the Return Orb in the bank after completion of the Elite Diary, so you can avoid bringing the Fremennik Boots. If nothing else, go to the Lunar Isle and talk to the left or middle banker, who will kick you back to Relica for not bringing a Seal of Passage. Once at Relica, travel to Ugniel via Thorfinn, and you will be placed on the island inhabited by the Undead Dragon. And speaking about Thorfinn, if you die at Vorkath, he will keep your items and you'll be able to retrieve them by paying a death fee of 500k to unlock your items. Remember that with this type of storage, if you die before retrieving your items, they will be permanently lost, so get them as soon as you can. Okay fellas, we're almost done. For plugins, I recommend ground markers, and I will include my marked tiles in a Google Doc in the description. The 3 front tiles are where I like to attack, but I stay on the eastern one. The ones behind the first row are where to go for the melee Woox walk, and the row in the back is for the Blowpipe walk, which I will explain later. If doing Vorkath with melee and you stand on this tile, the 2 columns on the side are where the zombified spawn can appear, giving you a good visual cue of where to get ready to click. You should also get the Tile Indicators plugin and check the True Tile Indicator on the current tile submenu, which will help for later. Other than that, I recommend the Boost's Information plugin to tell you when you have to drink Anti-Fire Potion, since I have died quite a few times after forgetting to refresh it. Other than this, use any PVM plugin you feel comfortable with. The final thing to mention before live examples are mechanics. The most important being the rule of thumb is that if you're doing ranged to Vorkath, you pray ranged, and if you're using melee, you pray magic. Not forgetting about your super anti-fire potion. Vorkath's attacks include his basic projectiles being a small blue flame for magic, and a grey orb with bones for ranged with a max hit of 30 and 32 respectively. If you're up close, he can also attack with melee with a lower chance of this happening, also being able to deal up to 32 damage. Vorkath can also use one of 4 Dragonfire based attacks. The first one is a standard orange flame. The second one is green looking, and will inflict venom if you're not immune to it. The third one is purple, and when it reaches your character, it will deactivate your prayers. For this, I recommend you have quick prayers set to whatever attack style you're using, to quickly turn them back on after this happens. The fourth and final one is a big ball of Dragonfire coming your way very slowly. Vorkath will raise his head, and after a few seconds, the fireball will land on the true tile you were standing on when the attack went off. If you don't move away, this will deal up to 121 damage, being able to kill you in one hit regardless of your HP. If you react slowly and move at least 1 tile away, it will deal 60 damage, so be prepared to move as soon as possible. After 6 of any combination of these attacks, Vorkath will do one of 2 special attack phases. Let's go over the zombified spawn since it's a lot easier. Vorkath will freeze you in place, after which he is immune from damage for the entire duration of the mechanic, and he will toss a little scorpion on the arena. If you have one, equip a Slayer staff with a Crumble Undead spell on autocast and click on the scorpion. If you fail to kill it in time, it will deal damage based on how much HP it has left, and if you simply ignored it, it can deal up to 60. Pay attention to your chat after this attack, because Vorkath will still be immune to damage until it says the dragon is no longer immune, and you don't want to proc a Ruby Bolt special while he is still protected. The other special is Acid. After a few takes, Vorkath will fill the arena with acid pools, and stepping on them will both damage you and heal Vorkath. If using melee, turn Run off, and you want to find the 3 vertical tiles free of acid. You want to click on Vorkath, followed by walking back 2 tiles, and back on Vorkath. The timing for this is that you want to click on Vorkath when your true tile is 2 tiles back, and click back when your true tile is next to Vorkath. If this doesn't make sense, I will go a little bit more into detail in the live KC examples. If arranging Vorkath, you have 3 ways of dealing with this. The first one is by simply walking to safe tiles and waiting for the special to end, which is a safe option, but will make kills a lot longer. The second one is that if you equip a Blowpipe and go to the tiles on the back, you can click on Vorkath and then back for consecutive takes, and this will drag your character to attack the dragon. Here's an example of how to do it without my voice, so you can get the timing for it. The third one is the same concept, but with a crossbow. When the acid attack starts, go all the way back and click on Vorkath once for your character to be dragged into attack distance. As soon as you see your true tile move, run back and walk on acid-free tiles 4 times, and then click on Vorkath again to repeat the cycle. This is perfect because you could proc ruby or diamond bolts at reduced damage, and will be better DPS than just sending it with a blowpipe. Here is another example without my voice. After the special is done, Vorkath will do 6 more attacks and then do the other special. So if he started with freeze, the second special will be acid and vice versa. The cycle will continue until Vorkath is dead, and you can either leave to resupply and come back, or keep the run going until you run out of supplies or your bag fills up with loot. Another common question I get on stream is if the loot stays there for the entire duration, and the answer is yes. Since this is an instance, the items can technically stay there until you log out. Because this video is already long enough, what I'll do is that I'm going to show you how to open up the fight and how to deal with Vorkath specials both for ranged and melee, and if you want even more information, check 2 links in the description in which I will tell you everything I am thinking of when fighting the undead dragon. The only non-budget thing I have is a Boundless Gutthort, but if you have it, equip your melee helmet, drink your ranging potion, extended super anti-fire, pray magic and piety, and let's hope that we hit a special to open up the fight. You start, Vorkath wakes up, click on it, we get some defense reduction, but remember if you hit a 0 or a very low number, because we have a light bearer, we can actually do it twice. The first special is going to be the freeze attack. Equip your Slayer Staff, and with autocast on Crumble Undead, click on the Zombified Spawn, and that is basically it. The next one is going to be the Acid Phase, and I'm going to show you how to deal with it in 3 different ways. So if you're doing Vorkath for the very first time, what you could potentially do is simply walk it off. You're just gonna do this and wait for the special to be over. There's literally nothing wrong in doing this if you're learning, just so you don't get the nerve of actually doing something incorrect, because those fireballs are going to max hit you for like a 40 or something, and they could definitely spell the end for you. In order to deal with the acid attack with a blowpipe, you are going to be behind the red line, and you're going to click on Vorkath back, Vorkath back, Vorkath back, Vorkath back. Literally that simple, you don't need to walk on this exact tile, as long as you hit on Vorkath or anything behind whatever set of tiles you found free, then that is going to be it. Make sure to re-equip your Dragonfire Shield so you don't get burned to a crisp, and onto the final way of dealing with it. The quote-unquote most complicated to deal with the acid phase is to do this with a crossbow. Walk back, 2, 3, 4, attack, 1, 2, 3, 4, attack, 2, 3, 4, attack, 1, 2, 3, 4, attack, 1, 2, 3, 4, attack. That last one was one tick too early, I believe, but it doesn't really matter, because with a little bit of extra damage, that should be it for Vorkath. So how to deal with acid? I want you to turn run off, and you want to click on Vorkath, back. Vorkath, back. Pay attention to the true tile. Back. Vorkath, back. Vorkath, back. You want to do that every 2 ticks in order for him not to attack you with the specials, and up next I'm going to show you how to do it with a Fang. Now, how do we deal with the acid phase with an Osmundum's Fang? You want to find the 2 empty rows, and you want to do this. This is the easiest way to do it, and then walk between one and another. Walk back, and then swap, and then click on Vorkath, walk back, swap, Vorkath, walk back, swap, Vorkath, walk back, swap, and then of course when it's over, that is basically it. I am going to have more live examples for you with the links in the description in case it didn't make any sense, but that is the pattern you want to do in order to maximize your damage at the acid phase with an Osmundum's Fang. In terms of loot, we are looking at different amounts depending on your levels and gear. If you're just getting started and you can only get about 1 or 2 kills per trip, which is pretty average, we are looking at a little over 1 million GP profit per hour. Superior Dragon Bones have gone down just a little bit, so if you're able to lock in for a full hour with the best gear available, or nearly max, you can easily achieve over 4 million GP per hour. You can't forget about Vorkath's decent drop rate for elite clues, the skeletal visage, less important uniques like the bone necklace and the jar of decay, and that super cute pet at a rate of 1 in 3,000. So boys and girls, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you enjoyed and you learned something useful. If you did, tell me if you like Vorkath or not and why, and if you include the term RSN and your username in your comments, you'll be entered in our weekly bond giveaway for which we will pick a winner on Friday's stream. I want to give a massive thank you to all the wonderful people you see on screen for supporting the channel. All your contributions help me feed my family in a third world country with tacos and beans. If you like what I do here, consider clicking the join button below to see all of the cool perks and benefits you can get in the videos, in the live streams, and of course in the Discord for a monthly fee. In the next one, we will actually go over an updated Inferno video to show you how to do it without that big of an issue, as we ignore the recently popular Mage tank gear setup. For now, I hope you have an amazing day, have an amazing week, and I will see you then. Peace.